Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. We're so excited to have you here. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. We'll just give everyone a few more minutes just to join. All right. Well, welcome everyone to our event this evening. We are so glad to have you join us this evening. We're excited to talk to you about Money Matters, brought to you by Pima Community College's Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships, first year experience programs, and in partnership with OneAZ Credit Union. So this evening, we will be talking about budgeting and savings. So before we get started, though, I do want to go over a few housekeeping items so that we can ensure we have a great session together. So first of all, please make sure your Zoom profile is updated, showing your first and last name as well as your pronouns if you wish. That way we can get to know you, and if we need to call on you, if you have any questions, we know how to refer to you. Most importantly, this is how we will make sure that the proper person gets attendance credit for being here today. So if you're not quite sure how to rename or update your profile, there's a few ways to do so. So one way is to look down at the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. Click on the tab that says Participants, and then you should see a pop-up window appear on your screen with your name at the top of the list. Check to make sure if your name is displayed with your first and last name. And if you need to update it, then hover your mouse over next to your name on the right-hand side, and you will see three little dots there. And click on those, and then it will give you the option to rename or update your Zoom profile. Another way to update your Zoom profile is by going down to the bottom of the Zoom toolbar and making sure that your video icon is enabled, or just looking at the webcam tiles that you see across the top of your screen. Your name should be the very first tile that you see, whether or not you have your webcam turned on at the moment. When you hover your mouse on the top right corner of your Zoom tile, then you should again see the option to rename your Zoom profile. So if you're having any technical difficulties doing that, please send me, Carla Gonzalez, a direct message through Zoom chat, and I will make sure, and let me know how you want your name to appear, and I'll make sure to get it updated for you. All right, so please be aware that today's session is being recorded for educational and promotional purposes so that we can later share with you and other students that were not able to join us this evening. So if you do not wish to be part of that recording visually, you are welcome to leave your webcam off, and there will be many opportunities for you throughout today to participate and engage during the session. So if you prefer to leave the webcam on, we do welcome you and encourage you to do so. We love to see your friendly smiles. So today I am seeing Brian. Hi, Brian. Shout out to you for being here today. And Yanisette and Christiane. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here today. So please be aware that captions will be available and provided throughout tonight's event. If those would help you so you can follow along while learning, you can enable the captions by going down to your Zoom toolbar, clicking on the option to either show captions, or if you're not seeing that tab, look for the tab that says More with three little dots, and then when you click on that, it will give you the option to either show captions, enable transcripts, etc. We want to make sure that today, this event, excuse me, is easy for everyone to follow along and be able to hear all the speakers. So we do ask that you keep your microphones muted unless you're being called upon or you're intentionally speaking at that moment. That way, if something happens beyond your control, and we get it, like the doorbell rings or somebody comes into your room or your office, that we can still all be able to hear the speaker without any interruption. So we want this to be a fun space for you. So if you have any questions at any time throughout the session today, we encourage you to ask those questions via the Zoom chat box. We will be monitoring the chat with your questions throughout the event, and we will have a question answer period at the end where we will field your questions, and our topic expert, Vanessa, will be able to answer some questions for you. So in addition to this being a fun space for everyone, we also want it to be a safe space. So we ask that you please make sure to keep all conversations respectful, civil, and clean. And for that, we thank you. So please be aware that at the end of tonight's activity, we will be sharing the feedback survey link via the Zoom chat box so that you can provide your candid feedback. In addition to your feedback, which is very important to us, it also allows us to give you the proper attendance credit for staying with us throughout the entire event. Anyone that completes the survey will also get a certificate of completion that will be sent to them afterwards, and we will also get you entered into an ultimate drawing for a $300 tuition award. So anyone that attends both Money Matters events this semester, stays for the duration of the event, and completes both feedback surveys will be entered into the drawing to win that $300 tuition award, which you can use towards the spring 24 or summer 24 terms here at Pima Community College. In addition to this opportunity, we will have a prize drawing for those who follow us on social media accounts this evening. We have some special and fun Pima swag items to share with you to help you get into that Pima school spirit. And so get your devices out and ready and follow us at Pima FYE accounts on Instagram or Twitter. That will be one of the ways to get entered into that social media drawing. And if you also follow the handle at pima.financialaid.scholarships on Instagram, that will also be another way to get entered into the drawing. There will be 2 winners announced Friday via email, one for each of those social media accounts. So take time right now to follow us on social media so you can have a chance to win. And lastly, our OneAZ credit union partners have another great prize to give away. And later on, Vanessa will share what those prizes are and how you can be entered to win. So it takes a dedicated team to bring our featured presentation to you tonight. And I'd like to take a moment to introduce who we are. So joining us in spirit this evening is Renee Forsyth. She is the program coordinator for the First Year Experience program at Pima Community College. Although Renee was not able to virtually join us today, I do want to recognize her valuable efforts and contributions, as she's a very important part of this team. And to those of you that I have not yet met, my name is Carla Gonzalez. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I am the Assistant Director of Scholarships and Outreach at Pima. I work in the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships, and I'll take a moment to introduce the rest of my teammates. So another esteemed colleague is Juanita Bonillas, Manager of Scholarships, Outreach, and Prison Education Programs at Pima, who is also joining us in spirit this evening, as she was not able to virtually join us today. But Juanita has been an essential part of the planning and hosting of Money Matters events, and I also want to recognize all her contributions. But now I do have the opportunity to hand the mic over to another one of my esteemed colleagues, Anna.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to be in this presentation with you all. My name is Anna Brown. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am the coordinator of scholarship operations here at the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships at Pima Community College.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Simara, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm the outreach coordinator for the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships at Pima Community College. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you. And last but not least is our session topic expert joining us from OneAZ Credit Union, Vanessa.
Hi, good evening. I am so excited to be back for another presentation. My name is Vanessa Alfaro. I am our regional sales leader here at OneAZ Credit Union for the Southern region. I have the opportunity to, I think we have camera or noise in the back. Do we have noise? All right, we got it. We got it. That happens though, right? But I am excited to do another presentation. I'm not last. I'm going to put him on the spot. I do have a lovely assistant who hasn't made his photo up there yet, but we have Mike Moreno, and he's also with OneAZ Credit Union. You might see him pop in the chat if he's helping me out. But you will see him going forward on these presentations, and he's joining us via Zoom all the way from Stafford. So thank you, Mike Moreno. He's part of our team.
Yes, thank you, Vanessa, and welcome, Michael. We are so appreciative of you being here and joining us today as well. So thank you to all. And now, as promised, and without any further ado, please welcome our speaker, Vanessa, who will be sharing information about budgeting and savings. And I'll go ahead and get the presentation queued. One moment.
Thank you so much. So I know we all heard budgeting and savings as the theme of this financial literacy this evening. We also have here 10 steps to financial freedom that we're going to touch on. But before I jump into all of the great information, I know a lot of us are really thinking, man, I really have a meaning to make that budget, or I really do need to start saving. But I wanted to share some important information with you to really understand why this is so important to put a focus on this. So I'm going to share with you how most of us are living today. 63% of Americans today are living paycheck to paycheck. That means the majority of us on this call today have some type of financial stress or aren't ready for any type of small emergency that might come our way. 63% might be alarming to some of you, but that is a statistic for how we are living today, paycheck to paycheck as Americans. 72% of us are stressed about finances. So yes, we're thinking about our budget. We want to save. It's important to save. We keep hearing everybody say we should have a savings, and there's all these different rules and myths out there. But 72% of us are financially stressed. And that is not just a number. That impacts your mental health, your financial mental wellness, and also your work performance. It's been linked to call outs, being able to retain employment. When you're financially stressed, one little thing could keep you from getting to work. If you don't have the gas money to get to work and you're calling out and you're having some type of strain in the workplace, it actually can lead to a lot of different things within our relationships and our homes, that financial stress. And 72% of us are experiencing some form of financial stress. We're going to talk a little bit about making those budgets and why it's important to save, and some of the different patterns that we all might be contributing to our own poor habits, or maybe some good habits that we're already ahead of. But as we talk through this, we're going to talk about making a budget and some of the tips and tricks to make a successful budget, or maybe some things to be aware of. So one last statistic I have for you, or number I have for you, is we are 42% more likely to obtain and reach a goal if we write it down. So we're going to go through some of these helpful tips. But as you think about creating your own budget, if this is something you want to do, it's a great idea to actually write it down and put it on paper, because you will be more likely to stick to that. But we'll start jumping into all of the good information. And I know we have some fun activities planned throughout this presentation, but I will touch on the 10 steps that we are going to cover quickly, then we'll get into more of the information behind them. So step one, understand your money personality. We're going to talk about setting those financial goals, creating a budget, planning to save, using credit wisely, prepare before buying a home, investing for your future, insuring your assets, keeping good records, and reevaluate regularly. So how we're going to cram all that in to an hour and 15 minutes, we're absolutely going to do it. And we're going to have fun doing it. We'll touch on everything, and we'll be sure to answer a lot of your questions towards the end. All right, step one, understanding your money. Okay, so we have money personalities. All of us have unique personalities, right? We're all talking about diversity and inclusion, and our culture could make up our personalities, how we were raised. There's a lot of things that go into our money personalities. So we see some type of labels out there. So we have the hoarder. They save, they budget, they prioritize, they hang on to every penny. We have our spender, and unfortunately, this is me. I'm going to openly admit that I am the spender. We have the planner, the one step at a time. They like to make goals in the near future, far future, distant future. We have our dreamer, big ideas, but unsure how to make them happen. So maybe it's somebody who says, man, when I'm 50, I want to be at $1 million and I want to own my own business, but they don't really have a plan to get there. The risk taker, somebody who's adventurous with money for potential gain. Oh, I see some things going off in the chat there. And we also have the risk avoider, who tends to go with what's for certain. Your separatist wants some money separate for oneself, and your merger, who wants to pull shared money together. So those two last ones you might see in a household, maybe a couple partnership, maybe they're sharing joint money, or maybe one really feels more secure just having that safety net on their own. That is completely up to you, but some of these might resonate with you and helping you identify what your money personality might be. The hoarder, a lot of the time, is pretty well off. We see some of our more wealthy clients, they really clip those coupons and they're saving every penny, and they don't waste a lot of money, but they're well off down the road for that. So some of these things are linked to where we came from, like I mentioned earlier. So if maybe you were a family that didn't have a lot growing up, you could even lean more towards the hoarder side because of some type of fear of not having that again, or not having anything at all. So as we talk through this, start thinking about what type of personality you might have that's contributing to some of your money spending habits. Okay, so how we determine your money personality. We're going to list the products and services you enjoy spending your money on. And what spending habits do you feel good about? So we are not counselors or therapists. They actually have paid financial therapists out there. But some of this might be linked to your feelings, impulsiveness, and how those items might make you feel. So when you're thinking about the items that you mostly spend your money on, are they hobbies? Are they activities? Are they beneficial to your financial well-being down the road? Are they assets? Or do we do a lot of impulse buying, where we're buying a lot of wants versus our actual needs? And as you determine your money personality and you go through your budget, start thinking about what changes that you would like to make to your spending habits. So now we start talking about setting those financial goals. So this is where everybody wants to grab a pen and a pencil when you have some time and put those goals down onto some paper. And some steps to doing or making successful goals. We're going to go through those. Okay, so most of us have heard the term SMART goals, but we have what our goals should be here: specific, measurable, reasonable, and realistic. And before we go to the next slide, I'm going to touch on these three things. So specific. So if I say, I really want to save some money before the holidays, probably not going to happen. I know myself well enough to know that that's not going to happen. But if I'm specific with that goal and I say, I need to come up with a plan to set X amount of dollars aside, and by December 1st, I want to have $250 saved for my Christmas fund. That's a very specific goal. Or if we're going through our budget, a specific goal might be, I want to go through my budget by November 1st and see where I can save $200 in expenses. That's a very specific goal. It needs to be measurable. So those two examples that I gave were measurable. I know I can measure it because if I have that $250 that I wanted to commit to saving, I know I was successful because I have that. I can measure that. If I go through my budget and I try to cut out that $200 in expenses, if I started with one budget and then I went back and reassessed, I can measure that. Where did I cut those expenses? Was I successful? And reasonable and realistic. And this is actually, I would say, the most important one. If I were to come to myself and say, I want to save $2,000 before Christmas, that might not be a reasonable, realistic goal. And it's not going to be obtainable. So I'm probably not even going to bother trying to get there. We want you to make your own personal goals. If you ever talk to a financial coach, they're going to encourage you to do what's best for you. And we hear a lot about how much you should actually have in your savings and what your goals should be. But as we go through this presentation, we're going to talk about really what's realistic for you. When you sit down to make those goals, how to make sure that it's realistic for you and what really is okay. Because there are a lot of ways now. There is no one way. We used to hear a lot out there that you needed 6 months worth of your bills saved up and then you were successful, or you need at least $1,000 sitting in your savings account and that's the rule. But we're going to go through some of these and make sure that that's top of mind for you and you make your own realistic goals and budget. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. 9 months, 6 to 12 months. Yeah, $1,000 in your savings account, you should be okay. There's a lot of different things. And honestly, it's what you feel comfortable with. I have not, no. Okay. But some good questions I see going on in the chat. So what are your goals? So we talk about short-term and long-term. We want to make goals for the next 1 to 2 years, 2 to 5 years out, and 5+ years. So maybe home ownership is 5 years out. A lot of you are attending school. That means you're probably going to go into a different work field, or maybe you're going to get a promotion or a pay increase once you graduate. So what does that look like for you? And how does what you're doing today tie into your long-term and short-term goals? One thing I do want to mention is they talk about 1 to 2 years, and it is absolutely okay to start at your 1 month goal. I mentioned at the very beginning of this presentation that 67% of us are living paycheck to paycheck. Some of us are now having to go back and fix or improve on things that we've already gone down the path on. And that is okay. We all have to start somewhere. So if you didn't have these healthy habits from the very start, it is okay to do 1 month at a time. We, again, want it to be obtainable and realistic for you. And if you're not in a place right now to make a spending or savings budget for 2 years out, that is absolutely okay. Most of us are going to look at the 30-day mark. Where do we want to be and how do we measure growth in the near future within the next couple of months? Okay, so we're going to talk about creating a budget. This one's always scary for me because when I go to write my stuff down, I know I have things I need to cut out. So we'll talk about some of those things that maybe we don't always think about or what we need to go back and revisit. So what should your budget include? I get asked this quite a bit when I sit down with our members to go over their budgets, but we talk about income. And that can be all types of income. Some of you have more than one source of income. You could include your significant other's income in that budget. Maybe you have child support in addition to your regular paycheck. Everyone's income is going to be different. And you want to look at after taxes, what that income is, what's your take home. So then you have your expenses, and then you also have your debt payments. Your expenses are going to fall under daycare, those subscriptions that we usually all have, and your debt payments are going to be what's on your credit report. Who do you owe, and what are those minimum payments?
Would you like me to share the video at this time?
Sure. Yeah, we'll go to the video. Thank you. I don't have sound.
I apologize, everyone. Sorry, I'll go ahead and get it queued.
While you're doing that, this is our friend Chris Peach. She's actually partnered with us quite a bit at the credit union. You can find all of his videos on YouTube or even on our website.
Let's not stress about spending on a daily basis. Hey there, I am Chris Peach from MoneyPeach.com and OneAZ Credit Union, and with the new year here, almost half of Americans will make a New Year's resolution to improve their finances in some way. Maybe that's to save more money, pay off debt, or invest more for your future. Whichever money resolution you are sticking to this year will require some kind of plan, and this plan all starts with a budget. But where do you even start, right? Well, let me show you 5 simple ways to create a New Year's budget that actually works. First, you need to know what your money has been doing over the past year. So start off by printing out your bank statements from the past year to get an idea of how much you spend and where you spend it. Second, now that you know where your money has been going each month, it's time to identify your budget categories. Look over all of your spending and find common themes. This could be grocery stores, gas stations, going out to eat, shopping, or any of these other categories. Once you create categories and add up everything you spent in each, you may find yourself saying to yourself, we spent that much money at Amazon or Target or on food or whatever else last year. Don't worry. You are officially on the right track when it comes to creating your budget. Now, the third step is determining your take-home pay. For your budget, you need to determine how much money hits your checking account after taxes and deductions, since this is really how much money you have to spend. Now, if you get paid every 2 weeks, then determining your income each month is straightforward. However, if you can't rely on bi-weekly paychecks, the best way to determine your monthly take-home pay is to continually calculate a 90-day rolling average. For example, if you earn $4,000 one month, then $5,000 the second month, and say no money in the third month, then your average monthly income is $3,000. After you've determined your monthly income, it's now time to organize all of your expenses. Now let's dig into these spending categories to see if you find any recurring expenses. These could be like your mortgage, your rent, car payment, insurance premiums, or even your cell phone bill. And what about all those other expenses? Well, these are usually things that can go up and down each month, which means you may have to decide what is a want, what is a need, and what actually fits inside your budget. But first, add up what you spent last year in each category and then take an average for each. For example, if you spent $8,000 in groceries last year, then you'll need to start your budget for groceries at $667 per month. Repeat this for all other categories that aren't recurring expenses. The final step is creating a zero-based budget before you actually start the month or spend any money. Having a zero-based budget means at the end of each month, your income minus all of your expenses equals zero. If you added up all of your expenses and it came out to more than your income, it's okay. It happens to just about everyone. However, now you have to make some tough decisions if you want your income to equal your expenses. This may mean you have to say no to some things, and that's okay, because that no will set you free from financial stress. Now, once you've created your New Year's budget, all that's left to do is to follow your plan. And will it go perfectly the first month? Absolutely 100% no. But it will definitely be better than the previous month when you didn't have a plan at all. In fact, do yourself a favor and make a promise to try this for 90 days. Month 1 will feel like a disaster. Month 2, well, it's going to be an improvement. And month 3, you will feel like a money rock star. Alrighty, my friends, thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor, hit the like button, drop me a comment, and share this video so we can help as many people as possible make better decisions with their money. And if you would like a free budget template that comes with a free video showing you a step-by-step process to help you get started, click the link and enjoy your new budget.
Awesome. Great tips. That link was at the end of that video. If we could pull that, we might be able to pull that back and put it into that chat. But you can also find that on our website, OneAZCU.com. You'll find all of Chris Peach's financial literacy with us, and that budget template should be also on our website. All right. He made some really good points. Stuff that we lightly touched on is starting with that short term. Getting over that mountain is going to take time, especially if you've already done the damage. And that's okay. But setting that 90-day goal, and this is the perfect time of year to do that. As he mentioned, the New Year's resolution could be, right around the corner, and it could include your finances. And writing those things down, again, we know we're going to be more likely to obtain them. So on this next slide, we're still sticking with budget. And these are some rules and what a typical healthy budget might look like. But realistically, most of us are not in this place. But this is just something that you can follow. Maybe you want to get there, but I'll go over a couple really quick. So housing, they usually say your housing expenses, your mortgage or your rent should usually be about 25 to 35% of your monthly take-home pay. Food should be 18 to 23% of your take-home pay. Those debt payments, 10 to 20%. Your savings should be 7 to 10%. And all other expenses, 20 to 40% of that take-home pay. That's that breakdown. Now, that savings wasn't really touched on early on in our budget conversation, but I am going to say One big rule that I hear across the board, regardless of what company you are and where you pulled your information from, how much you want to save and how much you really think you need to have in your savings account to be successful is really up to you. But what I will say, the one rule we can all agree on is that you pay yourself first. You should treat yourself like a bill, but save how much you can afford to save. If 10% is not something you can afford to save today, start small. Work your way up to giving yourself that 10%. But you always want to pay yourself first. And there's different cycles that are out there, spending cycles. And one is the paycheck to paycheck cycle. There's some out there that are you get paid, you spend, and then you borrow from credit, and then you spend some more, and then you're getting paid, and it's this vicious cycle. You want to get to a place where you're earning that paycheck, you're saving, you're spending, and then you're earning again. So that there's that good balance. But get to a place where you can start saving before you have all those expenses. Because if we say, well, this month I'm going to create this budget, and then whatever's left, I'll put in my savings account, chances are there's not going to be anything left. So these are just some helpful numbers to go off of. But if you're not there today, again, go back to your budget and make those realistic goals. I do like this quote. It's not how much we earn in this life, it's how much we spend that keeps us from achieving our goals. So this is absolutely true. I think we've all heard that. The more you make, the more you spend. Like, okay, over the years, I've gotten older. I'm not making the same as I was when I was 17, but for some reason, it feels like I am. That's because I'm spending whatever I'm making. As soon as I earn more, I'm finding ways to spend that. So it's a good idea, again, to create that savings bill towards yourself so that you have that protected savings if you like to spend. Okay. Great. Going into the next here, this is going to touch a little bit more on planning to save. Our step 4. Okay, we're going to include it in our budget. Have a separate emergency savings and use sinking funds. Now I'm going to spend a little time on this slide here. So including in your budget, again, making sure that you're that first bill paid. Obviously, you're going to have to pay your credit cards, but even if you have to go down to just paying your minimum payments right now, and building up that savings. And the reason why I say that, some people might go, oh my gosh, but I'm paying all that interest on that credit card. And I was told that I would want to get that down and not spend my money on those payments. But if you don't have an emergency fund set aside right now, the chances are you're going to keep racking that credit card up. Every time you have an emergency, if you don't have a savings, you're going to go towards one of your credit cards. So it's that vicious cycle that we get caught in. If you go to temporarily making your minimum payments, and starting to build a savings, you're less likely to have to use those cards, and then you can start paying down on those balances. Having that separate emergency savings, it's one of our rules out there and our best practices that you have savings for different events. Maybe the holidays are important to you, so you start saving for the holidays in January. But you also have an emergency savings that's set aside that you don't touch and that's separate from everything else so that you're not tempted to use those emergency savings. One $300 emergency, a tire, can set somebody back hundreds and hundreds of dollars, because if you don't have money for that tire, now you're getting overdraft fees, now your water bill is bounced, now you get a return check fee, and it just snowballs out of control. So it is a good idea to make that savings a priority. Okay, we're going to talk about using credit wisely. Just mentioned a couple minutes ago that we want to get away from having to use our credit cards in an emergency, but if you need to, credit is okay. I know a lot of people might have gotten into trouble with credit cards and are like, I never want one of those again. But the reality is we do need credit to be successful in this life. We want to be homeowners. We need reliable vehicles, and credit is the way to get a lot of that accomplished. It's okay, but we need to make sure that we're using it wisely. Know your strengths and weaknesses, really looking at, is that a want versus a need? A credit card should be used as a true emergency line of credit. If something goes wrong and you really don't have that savings built up, it's okay to use that credit card. But maybe you want to go on a vacation or you have concert tickets you want to purchase. That's probably not using credit wisely. We really need to look at what the need or what the use of the credit card is. So again, building that emergency savings so that you don't get tempted to go to that credit card. and keeping your balances manageable. Look, if those minimum payments are, keeping you outside your budget, and what you're making, and what's going out is not the same, and you're overspending every month in your budget, then you really got to look at how we get those minimum balances down, and avoid having additional payments. Sometimes we take out loans and lines of credit thinking it's going to help us get out of a situation, but then all we did was add an extra payment to our monthly budget. Okay. Did we go through all the bullet points? Yes, we did. And then checking your credit report for errors. Some helpful tips as far as managing your credit and keeping a good, healthy score is looking at your credit report for errors, making those payments on time, and keeping those lines down. So one thing I will say is if you have revolving lines, like a personal line of credit, a credit card, the rule of thumb is to never go over 30% of all of your available limits. So if you have credit cards today, one really good way to boost that score is to try to get your outstanding limits below 30% of what you have available. So if you have three different credit cards, add up what your available limits are on those and try to get to 30% of those combined, and you will see a significant jump in your credit report. We have a lot of starter cards that we see out there on credit reports. I think Capital One is one where they have a $500 credit card, and somebody's trying to build their credit, and they went and they put a $490 balance on there, and their score dropped, 150 points. But then they go and they get that balance down to $150 and their score goes up 150 points. That's just an estimate, but it is a significant increase. So look at what you have. If credit's really your goal today and savings is not, go back to your credit report, review it for emergencies, and see where you can make the biggest difference on your utilization. Okay, we're going to talk about preparing to buy a home. Some of us are probably already homeowners. Maybe that's in our next year's plan, or maybe 5 years out. I don't know. Rates are a little scary right now. I'm just going to say it, but it's attainable as long as we're planning for it. So things you really want to look at is how much can I afford? A lender might tell you, hey, you're approved for $300,000. But we really want to look at, can we afford that? Do we have a savings for those home repairs? Owning a home is very expensive. We need to make sure that it's insured. Your water heater might go out. You might have sprinklers in the back that need to be repaired. There's a lot of different expenses that come with owning a home. So before you jump in and get excited about how much you're pre-approved for because you have good credit, you have the income, think about what that's going to look like once you're in the home. That's the hard part, is after you get those keys, what's to come for the next 30-year commitment that you've made, or 15-year if you're doing a 15-year mortgage. And so you're going to prepare for your down payment. So if we're trying just to get to that step for the down payment, we need to look at how long, again, it's going to take us. Is this something we can do in the next year with the income that we have, saving or paying ourselves first? Is this a 5-year plan that's realistic? Do we need to repair our credit before we do this? But looking at really how much you can afford and how much you're able to save to get there. And then also, once you're in there and you accomplish the home ownership goal, are you prepared for those additional expenses to come? So some qualifying ratio lenders use: housing 28% or less of gross income. So in order to qualify, we want to see that your debts versus your income is significantly low and that you can afford that mortgage payment. 36% of your less of your gross income. So those are some numbers to look at. It doesn't mean that you won't get approved. Some of you might hear a 45% debt to income ratio when you go to buy a house. As long as you're not over 45% debt to income, a lender could potentially approve you, but then you're really pushing that. You're really out of that housing budget. When we looked at those numbers earlier, you don't have much of a cushion there if you're already at 45%. Close that chat. Okay. And again, that's also varying between lenders. Some of them will make those exceptions, but it's not always the best place to be, because if you have an emergency, the majority of your income is going towards that housing expense. Okay, we're going to talk about investing in your future. Step 7. Okay, So we have, again, I'm going to just full disclosure, I am not going to give any investment advice. I can get myself into hot water there, but I will give you some tips on the investing path and where to go, and maybe some terms that you might want to be aware of. So we have investment types. We have stocks. That means you're a partial owner in a company. Our members actually have stock in the credit union. They have a $5 share savings, and that's their stock within the credit union. So our members have different rights within the credit union, and they also get paid dividends. That's a stock, but there's also stocks in big companies. We hear like Apple and all those things that we might want to invest in. We talked a little bit earlier about that person that likes to take risks, that money personality. They're a good person for stock. So if you love risk and you're okay and you're in a position where you can afford to lose some and gain some down the road, stocks might be a good vehicle for you. We have bonds. You lend with a promise of repayment plus interest. And then we have mutual funds. You pull your money and you can diversify. And then you have those retirement plans that we all hear about, IRAs, 401ks, and 403bs that we all might be invested in through our employers. Or if we're self-employed, maybe we had an IRA that we set aside for ourselves to invest in our retirement. Okay, insuring our assets. Now, this is one we don't really think of when we think about our finances and savings and our budget. But let's go into insuring our assets and why this is important. So, one, do we have enough coverage? We have auto insurance, renters, homeowners, health, dental, vision, life, disability, long-term care, and pets. And I'm going to pause on this slide because I have seen people that are paycheck to paycheck, and they're really trying to figure out how to get to that next month, and that can be really tough. So what happens is they cut their insurance, and then something happens. Hopefully they don't, but they get into a car accident and they can't afford now to get their car repaired. Now they can't get to work. If you're not properly insured, this could be very detrimental to you. It is worth making sure that all of your assets are covered, especially if it's something that you need in order to continue to function and get to work and provide shelter for your family and that security. It can be very, very expensive if something happens and you're a renter and now you need to replace all your furniture or find another place to live. It can be very, very expensive and probably not worth the risk of cutting out your insurance. This is also important because people don't go back and revisit their policies. You can save hundreds of dollars a year by just going back and looking at the types of insurance that you have. Our credit changes, our good driver experience changes, and your policies can be reviewed and looked at. It's important to give your insurance companies a call and see if there's any new discounts or if you need to reevaluate now that maybe your credit has improved or you've been a long time driver. You can save a lot of money by going back and looking at your types of insurance. Pets can be very expensive. I found this out the hard way. I decided to get 2 new pets over the last couple of years, and unfortunately have ended up in the vet a couple of times. They do have pet insurance out there. So if you're pet owners and you have an animal that you see long-term care, maybe that might be something that can save you money in the long run so that you don't have to come up with $1,000 or $2,000 if something happens to your furry friend. Life insurance, this one's always scary to think about, but how are you leaving your family and how is your significant other leaving you? It could be an uncomfortable conversation to have, but definitely one that's important because Mike can probably sees this more than I do now that he's member facing and I'm not. But we've had a lot of really sad stories and unfortunate stories of spouses not having that life insurance or having to go without, and they weren't the primary breadwinner and they don't even know where to begin. And they're responsible for those payments. It can be very detrimental. So it's important that you are insured, but also not over insured. You don't want to pay for things you really don't need. But if you don't have these coverages, it can really, really be detrimental to your finances. So really, really evaluate what your assets are, who you have in your house, who needs to be protected, even your children. Things happen and terrible things happen. This is my least favorite part of this call, but we want to be prepared for those things because they can be very, very expensive. Okay, we're going to keep good records, writing our goals, but also going back, like Chris Peach said, let's go through our bank statements, save those things, and we'll get into some helpful tips on keeping those good records. Yep, paper files, a little old school. We also have digital. Some of us just don't feel secure putting things out into the internet and that thing they call the cloud. I still keep a lot of paper files, but your bank keeps those bank statements. Go through your mortgage interest statements, looking at your credit card statements, but keep those files and keep them organized. This is also helpful because if your family ever does need to access your files, they know where you bank and how they can take over if something were to happen. And again, that insurance, reevaluating regularly. This just is not for insurance though. This is one where it sounds silly, but maybe once or twice a year, that New Year's resolution, this is coming up, go through all of your subscriptions. I did this last year and it was around $300, I think I cut out because I was paying for every TV subscription under the sun. We had Prime, Hulu, Netflix, some random HBO channel. Go back and reevaluate what you are spending money on. There was people in my household that had 2 Netflix accounts. It happens, you know, you sign up and you forget to turn off that subscription. It's a pain. That gym membership, we had good intentions on going, but we haven't gone for a year. Why are we still paying for that? Go back and reevaluate. I don't know, January might be hot for the gym membership. We'll go for 30 days. But after that, reevaluate. Don't keep it going. Look at what you can cut out. And again, that car insurance, go back once a year and see if you can save money on that car insurance. You'd be surprised. That was another thing my husband and I did a couple of years back. We looked at the car insurance. He swore because he was a firefighter, he was getting the best deal where he was at. We combined it, $200 off our car insurance bill right away. So go back and reevaluate those reoccurring payments, those subscriptions that you're paying out, and see where you can save and cut out. One thing I heard from one of our members on those payments and subscriptions is turning off the auto pay in your cart. They've really gotten tricky. They really know how to advertise to us. I believe Amazon is buy now. You don't even have to go to the cart. You can just select buy now and whatever card you have linked as your primary payment. In seconds, you've got it. They did that because from the time that it takes you to get out of your bed from shopping at home, to go get your debit card from your countertop, you might change your mind. So let's just make it easy and save that payment and for a click of a button. So somebody told me that they were able to save a lot of money by turning off that primary card function in the buy now because they had to really think about it, thinking about that overnight, maybe making a goal for yourself. Before I do this purchase, I'm going to sleep on it, and maybe you change your mind the next day. But that's one thing you might want to go look at is where do you have that primary card saved where you can just scan your face and then it buys it instantly and it's at your door the next day. Look at those things too, because that can help with some of that impulse buying. Reevaluating quarterly should be your budget and your savings contributions. This is important because we have annual reviews. Maybe you started a new job. Can you pay yourself more? Do you need to cut back on your savings? Are you doing good with your savings plan? Chris Peach told us in 90 days, see where you're at. First 30 days is going to be rough. You may not be proud of your progress, but it's progress. So go back quarterly and continue to review that progress with your savings contributions. Maybe you want to up it, or maybe you need to bring it down a little bit to make it more realistic. And just looking at how you're doing with your budget. You got rid of all those subscriptions, but did you slowly add them back in, or did you pick up different ones? So those 2 things are good to look at quarterly. Annually, what you want to look at would be your credit report. And if you go to annualcreditreport.com, you do get 1 free report a year. You have your financial goals. Maybe those are changing for you annually. Maybe you had a baby, you got married, you got divorced, you had a death in the family. So go back annually and look at what life changes that you've had. Your investments, how are we doing on our 401ks, IRAs? Are we even in a place? I do want to pause on that one because if you don't have money to save for retirement, that is okay right now. But how do we get there? How do we rework our budget? If we're living paycheck to paycheck, we might not be able to put that extra $200 away for our 401k. But how do we get there? By reworking our budget and eliminating some of those other payments, so we can get to a place where now we can start looking at our long-term investment versus our short-term. We just want to build up a savings with $1,000 in it for now. Those insurance policies, look at those annually, and just our records in general, what we're keeping record of. Oh, this is my favorite part. So this, you do not have to be a member of ours, but we thought it would be fun to give you all a contest to enter. So we got with the times and created this lovely QR code, and you can scan this with your cell phone. Maybe take a screenshot of it if you need it, your cell phone right now, but you have a chance to win a $50 gift card and this Adidas backpack by going to this link and just registering. This does not sign you up for any OneAZ product. This is just a fun contest that we're doing for all of you at Pima. So scan that QR code. You can register today all the way through Tuesday, October 17th, and have that chance to win. And we've had a couple of good winners. Is that somebody that won the backpack? Best way to build. Yeah, we'll get to some of these questions. I love that part, the question part. But yes, QR code, take some time to scan it. Again, it does not set you up for anything. Of course, if you have questions about our credit union, we're here. We can answer any of them. You need a financial coach, we're here for that too. But this does not set you up for any product or service. This is just a contest to win the backpack and the gift card.
Thank you, Vanessa. That was great information. And I love the backpack. I if I wasn't working here, I would definitely give it a try. But all right, so we are ready. We're gonna do a quick pop quiz. Did we share that we were gonna do a pop quiz? Just kidding, everyone. We're gonna do a quick activity just to kind of see what we learned today. And so just one moment and I will go ahead and get it queued.
We start answering your chat questions, we do want to go through a fun, hopefully fun activity to practice what you have learned. We're going to participate in this activity by visiting Menti. You may either search on your computer menti.com, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. Once you're there, you will enter the code 97916917. Again, the code is 97916917. And I'll give you all a moment. All right, let's get started. So the way it works is that I will ask you a question and you will answer according to what you have learned from today's presentation. And Vanessa, you're more than welcome to jump in if you have any advice or input. All right, so the first question is, your sister asked for money to pay for her car loan. Your hours have been cut at work and you're on a tight budget. Is helping your sister a need or a want? Tricky question. All right, let's see the results. Yes, if you answered want, that is correct.
Yeah, we've got some ruthless people out there. No, I'm just kidding. No, if my sister came to me too, I would say no. But yeah, so that's a tough one because it might be a need for your sister, but want for you emotionally to help that person out.
Thank you. Okay, so the next question is, your classmates want to travel abroad after the semester ends. You would like to be part of this trip. Should you save or borrow for this trip? Okay, let's see the results. Yes, save. You answered correctly. Okay. Next question, please. You just moved out of your parents' house and Mother's Day is in 3 months. You want to buy your mom an expensive gift. Should you save or borrow? Save. Yes, that's correct. All right, let's do a tricky one. Your job requires you to utilize the GPS app, but your phone network is not reliable. Is upgrading your phone plan to improve your network a need or a want? Right, it's actually a need. And Vanessa, I'm not sure you wanted to add
Yeah.
anything to that.
That one's tricky because I think we think sometimes, well, do I just want the latest and greatest phone? That would be a want. Looks like the crowd was a little split on this one, but this one's a need because it's impacting your income and helping you generate that additional income. So in this case, in order for you to be able to generate that income, you're going to need that upgraded feature.
I'm so sorry. I have a question. I thought that in Arizona that if they require you to use technology for a job, that they technically have to provide that.
Yeah, I don't know the workplace law, but if you had to, I think this one is more of a generalized question. If you had to have an expense in order to work, yes, then it would be a need versus a want. I think the example here is, did you want the latest iPhone model, or is this required for work, to see if you really needed to have that additional expense? Now, if your work is willing to pay for that, then that right there tells us that it's actually required and is a need. I know, just based off what you're touching on right now, my work pays for my cell phone, regardless of what plan I have, because it is a need. I need my cell phone for my team to be able to get a hold of me, because I'm not in one place all the time. So me too. Is that the latest one? Is the 15? I saw someone in the chat. I don't know. My daughter probably knows all that. Awesome.
Yeah,
sure
I
Thank
work
you,
with them
Vanessa.
with the
She'll be
latest
asking
and
me for that one
greatest.
pretty soon.
Thank you, Vanessa. All right, should we move to the next question? All right, so Halloween is coming up. All right, all your friends want to dress up for the upcoming themed Halloween party. You will purchase a costume. Should you save or borrow? Let's see the results. Yes, you want to save. You want to be part of the party, right?
I like this one too because somebody had an idea on the call, is like thrifting. Also being, more aware of how you're spending and what your other options are too. So even if you're not able to save a whole lot, maybe you can do some thrifting, because we've seen some pretty cool costumes with that route.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so the next question. You just got a call from for an interview. You don't have the budget for new clothes. In this case, would buying a new outfit be a need or a want? Right, let's see the results. Would actually be a want.
This one was a trick question. It doesn't say you don't have clothes. It says new clothes. I think that was the key word there.
Yes. Okay, so the next question. Your anniversary is coming up in 2 months and you want to surprise your partner with a trip. Should you save or borrow for the trip? Now, I know all of you are going to get this right. Most of you, that's good. Yes, you want to save. Okay, next question, please. You have been saving money by cooking at home, but the pumpkin spice latte is now available at Starbucks. Is getting a PSL a need or a want? All right, it's a want. Well, I think for me, it's a need.
Yeah,
I
I
definitely
thought
need
we
a
were for sure
PSL.
going to have at least one that said it was a need.
Yes, I did too. Okay, so next question, please. You are a full-time student and your laptop just gave up on you. You have some money in your savings. Should you borrow or use your savings to buy a laptop? Yeah, you want to utilize your savings. All right, next question. Hopefully this question is relatable to some of you. I know for sure I can relate to this. You ran out of dice while playing Monopoly Go and you only have one shield left. Is buying dice a need or a want? Okay, let's see. I can relate to the people that said need, but unfortunately it's a want. I know there's been times that I've had to buy dice and I'm like, this is not within my budget. I can't do this. Right. It's your last year of college and you want a new car because you're tired of public transportation. Without money, is buying the car now a need or a want? Yes, it's a want. Your professor has provided a syllabus and they are requiring several books for the course. Do you plan to save or borrow? Yes, you want to save. At Pima Community College, our professors actually provide the syllabus ahead of time. So it prepares you to know what books you need. And hopefully that allows you enough time to save for those books. You and your partner wish to purchase a home in 2 years. Should you save or borrow for your home purchasing fees? Yes, you want to save. I think another tricky question. You live in Arizona and your AC stopped working in July. Is purchasing a new unit a need or a want? All right, the correct answer is actually a need. I mean, Arizona in July, if you're from Arizona, then you know. All right. And last question. It would mean a lot if you can all answer it. What did you think about today's lesson? Great, or I feel lost? Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, we want to thank everybody who participated in our mentee activity. It is much appreciated. We hope that you all enjoyed it. Now, I believe it's time for us to answer your questions. Please know that you can still type your question on the chat, and Vanessa will be more than happy to answer those for you. All right, Vanessa, let's see our first question. Would you consider stocks to be more of a long-term investment?
Yes, that one's a touchy one because again, that's an investment advice. So really what I will say is you want to sit down with a financial advisor. Depending on your age, what you have available to save is really going to determine on what's best for you long term or short term. Stocks, something that people that maybe are early on starting to save in their retirement that can recoup that and have time to recoup that versus someone who's going to retire next month. That might be a better vehicle for them. But really, I can't give that advice because everybody has a different portfolio. But most of your financial institutions will have an advisor that you can talk to at no cost to get that advice. We obviously at the credit union have our own that's free to speak with. So if you do want more in-depth advice on investing, I would suggest that we get some appointments made, but it really depends on how much you can afford to lose and save, and everybody's journey is different.
Thank you, Vanessa. The next question is, what are some resources to find good life insurance companies?
Okay, insurance companies. I do not sell insurance. So I want to say that I don't sell insurance. But I would say shop around, pick three. Don't just go with your first one. I think anything that you're doing when you're going to make a purchase or sign a contract, shop those rates, not only just for your insurance, but your cell phone companies. Pick three companies that you want to look at and compare that pricing. Even if it's for any policy, whether it's your homeowner's policy, your renter's policy, because everybody's a little different. And I know that we always hear those bundles to save. I don't know how Flo is, I don't know if she's really that helpful. But I would say pick at least three to shop around and look at before you commit to anything.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, can I have more than one IRA?
Yes, you can. And you can talk to your advisors, and there's different types of IRAs and a lot of regulations and rules around IRAs with withdrawing and how much you're actually contributing to them. Tax stuff I won't really go into, but you can have more than one IRA, and you just want to make sure that you're looking at those regulations and those contributions and withdrawal restrictions.
Thank you. And what is the best way to build your credit?
Best way to build your credit. I love this question. This is mine and Mike's expertise here is this credit building. So there are a couple things. I know today's portion is on the budget and savings, and we have credit presentations that we do also with this partnership, but I will give you a few helpful tips here. So if you're repairing credit, we can look at those credit builders. So most banks will have something called a shared secured loan, or a shared secured credit card. So whether you're just starting out, or you have some repairing to do, look at your financial institutions in your area, in your community. And what that is you putting up your own funds in order to start establishing credit. So you'll basically pay yourself back. And you might think, why would I want to do that? Because when it is through a lender, we're actually reporting that to all three credit bureaus. So even though you're paying yourself, you're actually reporting that to the credit agencies, and the banks like that because there's less risk because you're borrowing your own money. That's one way to build credit. Some of you may be aware that you can actually self-report your utility bills now. That's something that happened within the last several years. So you can actually report those regular payments on the credit bureaus, whether it's a cell phone, a water bill, if it's coming out of your checking account regularly and they're seeing that it's being paid on time, that utility bill can now help you establish credit. You can also look at those store accounts. Now that one I would be careful with. You don't want to go opening up 5 different store accounts like Ulta, K Jewelers. Those are going to probably be easier to borrow from on your first credit cards, but they can also get you in a lot of trouble. So we look at maybe doing that one starter card and making sure that that gets paid off as soon as the funds hit. My daughter is 19. She started with a shared secured and then went to a small credit builder credit card with a $500 limit, uses it to purchase gas and then pays that right off as soon as that balance hits. So just being responsible with that credit card to help you start establishing is also a good way to do it.
Okay, thank you. Does OneAZ offer high yield interest savings?
Yes, we do. We have a variety of savings accounts, money markets. We also have those investment advisors that can give you that licensed financial advice. But you can also check out everything we have on our website. We have a lot of good interest rates going right now on the savings side. We know maybe those lending rates, they're still amazing with the credit union. They're still going to be a lot lower than what you're seeing out there, but we definitely have some good savings rates as well.
Thank you. What is the best type of savings account?
That really depends on your situation. So some of you might have heard of what's called a CD or a certificate deposit. That's going to tie your money up. And if you wanted to withdraw it, there's going to be penalties. Some of you need that money liquid still. So really opening up a savings is going to be determining on your need and how much you can afford to save. If you tie that money up, you're looking at penalties if you need access to those emergency funds. If this is a long-term savings plan, maybe you've been saving for 5 years and you're ready to put that money away and you have a different emergency savings separate from that long-term savings, you might be able to do something like a CD or go to an investment banker and tie that up into something that might give you a higher interest rate. Usually a liquid account is going to be on the lower interest rate side because there's less risk there.
Thank you. Where could I find a good template to plug in budgeting items or to base my own budget table?
Yeah, so OneAZ, also on that website that we had mentioned earlier, there is a budgeting tool there. But really, you can go onto Google and find a budgeting worksheet that works for you. There are so many budgeting worksheets out there. I actually have one I can send to, you, Samara, or Carla. I can send those out to you. If whoever's on this call, if they want access to that budgeting sheet, you can share that. I have one that I like to use because it's very simple, easy to read and straightforward. I've seen some that's like 3 tabs of an Excel sheet, and the minute I opened it, I got intimidated, so I shut it down. But if you're like me, you want it to be clean, simple, and just outline straight to the point. I can share what we use when we do our financial coaching. It's pretty easy to use and easy to understand. I'll make sure I get that over to the Pima team, and then they can send it to everybody. Or I can send it with the certificates. We have a couple different ways we can do it. I'll make sure we get that out.
Yes, we can definitely send that form to you once Vanessa shares it with us, and you can email us and we'll have our contact information at the end of the presentation. All right, so next question is, what are some podcast resources for financial advice and relative news, if you know of any?
Podcasts, again, I wish this is more of like the outsourcing. I would say visit our site. Chris Peach is a good resource, but if you Google a lot of things, I'm not a big podcast person. I listen to other things on the way to work, but I'm not a big podcast person. So I know on our last presentation, I believe, Pima, you actually had some podcasts that were shared. So maybe that would be a good thing to also resend out. But if you look up Chris Peach, he not only works with our credit union, but he's really great on his own giving those financial workshops and advice. So you might want to look up Chris Peach.
All right, thank you. What kind of savings?
I'm sorry, I was gonna say, if you go to our website, we do have a list of videos. So if you're looking for one topic, that's a great place. And we also do investment webinars. So even though I cannot give you investment advice today, We have Tom Mitchell. He's actually been on these presentations in the past, and he does have some videos on our website if you're looking for more of that investing advice and more information on investing.
Thank you. The next question is, what kind of savings would a person still primarily dependent on their guardians look like compared to those who are financially independent?
Okay, so if you have a guardianship in place, I would look at what are your expenses? How much would you personally need if you had an emergency? Is there something that you want for yourself? Maybe you're looking towards your guardian and asking them, what's our next goal? What do we need to save for? And what are my monthly expenses that are going out, and what do you have coming in? Sometimes there's a set contribution to your account depending on how your guardianship is set up that you can rely on every month for income. I don't know what that situation is, but I would say that it's different for everyone's scenario. We've seen a lot of different types of guardianships. That's why I'm kind of speaking vaguely here. But I think really it's how much control do you have over your money? And then also, what do you need it for? What are you saving for? To get out of that situation, to be on your own? Do you need those emergency funds, or are you saving for school or other things? So really just looking at your situation and what are your goals? And under that guardianship, 1 to 2 years out, 5 years out, look at those goals for yourself.
Thank you. And how do you report the utility bill to repair credit?
Yeah, I know you can start by going on Experian, but there's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And they do ask for your bank information. So your routing and account number, you have to verify that account. And then it'll review what payments you have going out regularly. So those electric bills, phone bills, it could even be rent depending on how that's coming out. But that'll automatically start reporting to those credit bureaus.
All right. There are 2 questions that are kind of similar. One is, I am in Phoenix. Can I still bank with OneAZ? And then the other one is, can I open an account online with OneAZ Credit Union?
I love those questions. I thought I had some good ones, but those are my favorites so far. So yes, you can. And we're actually going to share something here pretty soon. So everyone should shop just like they do their car insurance. Shop which bank you want to bank with. Obviously, I'm going to be biased because I think OneAZ is amazing, and I think everyone should choose us, but this is really up to you. It needs to be the right fit for you. As long as you live in Arizona, work in Arizona, you can be a member of the credit union. On the second question, you absolutely can open it up online. We're going to share another QR code in a little bit. And anybody that's a student of Pima Community College or faculty member or staff, they actually get $100 when they become a member with the credit union. That's through our partnership. We don't offer that to everybody, but this relationship has been amazing. We love being out on the campuses. Some of you might have even seen this offer recently when we were out there hanging out, giving out some freebies. But we'll be sharing that QR code shortly. And even if you just want to check out the website and see if this is the right fit for you, you need to choose the right bank and the right credit union for your needs today. But $100, I mean, free money. So why not?
Well, true. Well, thank you, Vanessa. Well, that concludes our time for questions and answers. Again, thank you so much for the great presentation, Vanessa, and for taking the time to educate us on this important topic. If you wish to continue practicing on your budgeting and saving skills, please feel free to access the FYE Pinterest page and the OneAZ Credit Union handout. The links are provided for you on the screen and on the chat. We would also like to share a handout flyer that offers great resources. And we're also sharing the slides that we utilize for today's presentation. You can access those links through the chat. And thank you, Anna, for taking care of the chat. I know it's not easy to do all of that, so thank you. All right. Well, thank you everyone who followed us on social media. Again, we will announce the winners on Friday. The winners will be contacted by email, so please make sure that you monitor your email for an update. The winners will receive a prize bundle from the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships and First Year Experience. We will send your prize package to the mailing address listed in your Pima profile. Please allow a few weeks for the prize to be packaged and delivered to you. If you do not receive your prize by this time next month, then please contact us. We do have another prize opportunity that we would like to share with you. All you have to do is visit the partnership webpage between Pima Community College and OneAZ Credit Union. You can either scan the QR code on the screen, or you can click on the link that was just shared on the chat. Sweepstakes begin Thursday, October 12th, and will end on Tuesday, October 17 at 5 p.m. The winner will be selected on Thursday, October 19 by random drawing. The total value of the prize is $100, which includes a $50 Office Max gift card and an Adidas backpack. The prize will need to be picked up at one of the OneAZ Credit Union branches. Well, thank you everyone for attending our first Money Matters session of this fall semester. We hope that you found great value in the information shared with you today. A friendly reminder that there is another session for this fall semester, which will focus on borrowing. The session will be on November 9th from 4:30 to 6 p.m. You can register online by visiting the link that was just shared on the chat. Also, if there are topics that you would like us to present in the future, let us know by taking a quick survey. By completing the survey, you will also earn a certificate of completion. The certificate will be emailed to you in the next few weeks. Remember, if you attend the 2 Fall Money Matters sessions, you will be entered into a drawing for a $300 tuition award. The tuition award can be applied to your tuition at Pima for either the spring or summer 2024 semester. Well, this concludes our presentation. A huge thank you to our partners from OneAZ Credit Union, our partners from the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships, and First Year Experience at Pima Community College. Thank you for making this event possible, and a big thank you to you, our community, for attending. If you would like to follow up or contact us, our information is being shared on the screen. Well, we look forward to seeing you again in November. Thank you.
Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for all the great